If I have edited this on a reasonable schedule, it is still September 2022, and we have got some great pickups in the world of MTG for you to add to your collection.
We are talking about cards that are at all-time lows or close to all-time lows that you should probably just have, and the video starts right now. Highest level of gratitude to our patrons who power the channel through Patreon. Check out the Patreon link in the description to learn about monthly giveaways, VIP Discord access, and even our official playmat. Hello and welcome to The Day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm an actor known for dying notoriously early in his films, Steven Seagal.
I'm Francis McDormand. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We've got great pickups for September 2022. You know this series. You've been here before. But hey, look, if you haven't been here before, hitting that subscribe button if you like the video before you leave, that would help us out tremendously.
That's a great way to support the channel, and we also do have a TCG affiliate link pinned in the comments if you want to go there. Right now my cat is ringing the bell. He's so excited for the TCG affiliate link, and he just waited for us to start recording to start hitting the bell.
First up is an enchantment called Kindred Discovery. This is a tribal card, but whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, you're drawing a card. This is a fantastic card that was first printed in Commander 2017. It was high due to scarcity in price, but now it is nice and low. We got the version from Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Some Wizards of the Coast still know how business is done. The card is down under $4. You want this for any tribal deck that has blue in it. Jake, this is our first great pickup of the list.
Going back all the way to Commander 2017, I'm going to be able to tell you Kindred Discovery had an all-time high of $44.97. Wow. So yeah, super low risk. Now's a great time to pick up Kindred Discovery if you don't have one. Next up, we have Aether Vial, one cost artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on Aether Vial. This is one of those cards that's really important in like modern decks. You're going to want 4 of these. If you're playing like humans, you're playing merfolk, some people play this in goblins. Just low to the ground creatures. It's an artifact that's really good early and it gets way worse late, but this is a card that is definitely worth picking up. It has an all-time high of $66.38.
Ridiculous.
I even have an all-time high of almost $70, $69.99. Yeah, I mean, this just kind of speaks to scarcity and one of these cards where you need multiple copies. So if you've ever wanted to play Aether Vial in a constructed deck, now is a really good time to get in, as the price is substantially lower than that $69.
Yeah, we're talking about a Double Masters 22 base copy. That's going to be your lowest copy as of shooting this. About $11, about $12 market price right now for the card. It's just so low. You do need 4 for the constructed deck. This isn't really a commander card, but if you've ever wanted to play an Aether Vial deck, there's never been a better time, and it's the kind of card where they will protect the reprint equity of this. You had iconic Masters, Darksteel, Modern Masters. They don't just willy-nilly throw this card into these premium sets. So coming off of Double Masters, as people's attention start to turn, before it starts to climb, you're gonna want to target Aether Vial if you've ever wanted this card. Next up, we do have a commander card in Bloom Tender. Market price for this one around $10 or $11 right now, and this is a card that suffered from scarcity. Originally printed in Eventide, it went a long time without a reprint. Double Masters 22 brought us 3 versions. The base copy version, which is what I'm recommending you go out and buy around $9 or $10 right now, and then you've also got a borderless and a foil etched, which are starting to climb from the time I think that I made a short about this card being a great pickup, but they are still around that same price. The base copy at around $9, borderless copy around $11, and then your foil etched around $16.
It's just such a strong card, and yes, this card topped out in February of 2020 at nearly $60.
Jeez.
So right now, low risk. It's essentially a 1/6 of that price. So if you don't have this card, it's definitely worth picking up to have a single copy in your collection.
Yeah, fantastic mana dork. You're always going to want to run this in a competitive or very strong deck that has green in it, especially if you're like 3 colors or more, because it's adding a color of mana to your mana pool for each color among permanents you control. It's just so strong. Next up, we've got Tiamat, a little 5-color dragon action for your commander deck. Adventures in the Forgotten Realms brought us this crazy dragon god and a borderless version of it. We've had a couple of random printings of this one. You've got a promo version, the pre-release version, and then a ridiculously expensive ampersand hyper promo version, basically, that's over almost $900. It's over $800 at this point. But the base copies are around $10. Your borderless copies are around 20. And I really think that this has grown a lot of favor in players as the commander of your 5-color dragon deck, even though I think the argument that Dragon is the best is still the way to go. I think that's the best commander for a 5-color dragon deck. Any cards that
run
get
it in the
printed,
99, you know?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's what I'm recommending, is it's a 99 card of every 5-color dragon deck regardless. Every time a new dragon is printed, Dragon Tribal is going to get pushed to the forefront of everybody's mind. Tiamat is just like the most ridiculous tutor spell you could have in a deck like that, because you're going to get so many dragons. It's going to give you a dragon. It's kind of hard to cast, but it's just so good in that deck that over time, until a reprint happens of this mythic, this card is just going to go up in price.
Yeah, it's really cool. It tutors. It gets better and better the more dragons that are printed. This is a card that had a ton of volatility during pre-sales. The card like topped out at 65, but on MTG stocks, shout out to MTG stocks, always having really good info. But yeah, right now it's low risk. It's just a good time if you don't have this card and you think you'd ever want to play this card. Go ahead and pick one up. Next up, we have Bramble Sovereign, a card that originally came to us in Battle Bond. For 2 green and 2 other, you get a 4/4. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may pay a green and 1 other, and if you do, that creature's controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. Create copies of all of your shit. It's really strong. This card topped out at around $30, and now it's as low as $6.51.
Yeah, even lower on some listings. The Commander Legends base copy version going for about $4 at this point. This was a scarcity play. It's a wildly strong mythic card, and it was only in 1 set, and Battle Bond was a while ago. I know it doesn't seem like that. It was just yesterday in most people's minds, but it has been a while since Battle Bond, and Bramble Sovereign suffered from scarcity, but with its reprint being one of the few reprints in Commander Legends Baldur's Gate, it's nice that this price is now easily accessible to players, so that, yeah, copy creature shenanigans, go crazy. 2 mana, 2 of your creature that you play, absolutely insane.
I mean, why not? This card is a lightning rod and it absolutely needs to be removed.
Sword of Light and Shadow is a sword, and a lot of times just saying that is enough to make a card make you realize that the card is powerful. Sword of Light and Shadow sort of fallen out of favor. It's the one whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you're gaining 3 life, and you return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. A lot of times in a deck where you want to do that effect, having protection from white and black is not that great, because you'll also have like black or white auras or other ways that you want to target that creature, and if it has protection, anything that is on it falls off if it falls into those colors that it's got protection from. However, it's still a sword. 2/2, protection from white and black, and it's got a combat trigger. This is the kind of card that its all-time high and its current price of around $16 to pick it up, depending on which version you're playing. It's just such a good time to pick this card up. There's a lot of disparity between its all-time high and its current price.
Yeah, the Darksteel version had an all-time high of 61 in September of 2019. It is a card that will likely be reprinted again. You know, whenever a set comes through and they want to throw swords in it, it's always good reprint equity. But having pro white, pro black on a creature is pretty strong. You're out of range of Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, a whole suite of really good black removal as well. And then being able to get something back from your graveyard to your hand is pretty good too, on the damage trigger. But yeah, it topped out at around $60, and right now is a really good time to pick it up if you don't have a copy. Again, you don't need 10, you don't need 100, but if you don't have a copy of Sword of Light and Shadow, might as well get one. Next up, we have a card that came out and was a little bit of a sleeper. This card got as low as $8 at one point, which is kind of crazy. I remember paying $8 for pre-sales of this. Teferi's Protection. It's a card that got as high as, geez, $55 in April of 2021, but it's one of these cards that's kind of like an oh crap button. Like, is the apocalypse about to hit the board? Well, Teferi's Protection can get you out of it. So if you are playing white, it's a card you should definitely have a single copy of. 1 white, 2 other, until your next turn. Instant speed. Your life total can't change, and you have protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out. And then obviously you exile the card because you shouldn't be able to get this back. It's just very, very good. It's been reprinted a lot, most notably in Double Masters 2022, which just came out. It got an etched version. It got a borderless version. It got another base copy printed into circulation at Rare. That set got opened a lot, and now's a good time to pick up the card if you don't have it.
Yeah, around $20 to pick this up. Like Jake said, it's got that foil edge, got that borderless. Because the set is so new, it's a lot like Bloom Tinder in that those variations of the card are not yet completely just outpacing the price of the card itself. But this is a card, yeah, like Jake said, $55 all-time high. When we saw it, we knew, oh man, this is going to be the next Dockside. This is going to be the next Deflecting SWAT. They've got to reprint this card multiple times to keep the price down, because any deck that has white in it is probably going to want to at least think about running it. And they have done just that. They've done a good job of keeping this one reprinted. It was in Mystery Boosters. That's been a secret layer. It was in the Mystical Archives for Strixhaven, and now 3 different versions in Double Masters 22. Now's a good time. It's low risk. This is always going to be a desirable card.
Right, and the fact that it has been printed so much and it continues to maintain this price just speaks to how much demand there is for the card.
Next up is Loth Spider Queen. This is a card that the price was being affected by its standard play. It was actually seeing play in constructed decks, and now it's low because this set has rotated out, but it's still a pretty powerful mythic planeswalker. You are adding counters to it when any creature you control dies. You can draw cards right off the rip without affecting its loyalty. You can create 2 blockers for the creature, for the planeswalker, with its minus ability. It just kind of does a lot for the color black, and a lot of decks that want this type of thing, creating tokens, live in the color black with an aristocrat strategy. Around $7 to pick up a copy now, and it has been much higher because it was being played in constructed decks.
Now in pre-sales, this card got as high as $25, but then had a big adjustment like we see after most sets are released. But yeah, it got as high as $13.98 after the release, and that was in March. Likely when you were talking about people were playing it in standard, and now, yeah, it's a much more, this is a card that I don't have. Much more reasonable price on this, and it might be worth a pickup. I do like that 0 cost. You draw a card and you lose 1 life. Pretty fun card here.
Yeah, and it's affordable now. That's really the thing. I've wanted this card for an Aristocrats deck. I was telling you I played that Tevish Zat earlier in the year. This is a card that I wanted in that deck alongside it because I was already running Planeswalker strategy synergy cards because one of my commanders was a Planeswalker. And so to add to that with a really strong one that also creates 2 creature tokens, lets me draw cards, it's just more sort of redundancy on the strategy. So I definitely recommend, if you've been waiting on this card to drop, now's a good time to pick it up. Pretty low risk.
We do like redundancy, and we do like low risk. That doesn't mean that in this video, if you buy one of these cards, that it might not go down in price more. What it means is that it is already at a very low price and likely won't dip much more than it already has.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. All right, next up we have another Adventures in Forgotten Realms card that is affected by rotation. 3 cost, 2/1. It's a mana dork. It has add green for each creature you control. So it essentially is a Gaia's Cradle on a stick. It costs way more than a Gaia's Cradle to play, but the card is very good. It had an all-time high in June of 2021 of $40. Likely that is before the set was released. Yes, I'm looking at this. So that was a pre-sale price, and then it did have a very drastic fall off. But yeah, when it was played in standard, it had a higher price, and now's a really good time to pick it up. It's at around $4.
This automatically goes into any of your elf ball decks for sure. And with the strongest elf commander ever printed coming out with Kaldheim, this is the kind of card that a lot of people have a deck that is ready for this card. Under $4 to pick this up at this point. I think that, you know, because it's rotated out, people don't want it as much anymore. And it was a set that was pretty beloved and pretty widely played. So people opened a lot of it. And now, since we've got all these copies in rotation, $4 picking up an excellent elf for your elf deck is probably one you want to look into. Green Sun Zenith was just reprinted in Double Masters 2022, and we have finally got this price down to a price that I can recommend people pick up this very strong sorcery. We've got it originally printed in Mirrodin Besieged. It's got a crazy all-time high, especially considering that now you can pick it up for $8.50 and have this excellent green card in any green creature-based deck. Search in your library for a green creature card with mana value X or less right onto the battlefield, and you get to control that X. It's excellent. It was only printed in Mirrodin Besieged and then reprinted in Eternal Masters, but now because of Double Masters 22, we've got the base copy version around $8.50, and then you've got the etched version around $25.
Yeah, and Joel, you left off the fact that it gets shuffled back into the library, so you're going to draw it again. So it's one of these cards that way back in Mirrodin Besieged, when these came out, they brought us the Zeniths. You had one for each color. That was the cycle, and they all get shuffled back in. Now, the green one is far and away, in my opinion, the best one, and it's the card that's been reprinted the most. It has the most reprint equity of the 5. It's a card that got as high as $30, and now it has had a big adjustment, so you should have one for your collection if you don't have one already.
It's the kind of card, too, that'll go back up slowly over time once it sort of bottoms out until we get another reprint of it. So grab one on the way back up here.
Next up, we have Farewell, and this is a card that recently came out. It's not at an all-time low, but it is trending up despite having multiple printings. Came out of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, or Return to Kamigawa, and it is Farewell. And it is a 6-cost modal white spell sorcery, and it is really good. Choose one or more, exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, exile all graveyards. Holy crap, trending up. If you missed this one, this got as low as $3.66, and EDH players want it.
Yeah, who knows when it's going to be reprinted again. And this one is sort of the opposite thought of the rest of the list. This, like Jake said, isn't at an all-time low, but it is moving up. You can get one right now for around $9 market price. That's the base copy. Like Jake said, there's not multiple printings, but we do have a lot of different variants of this. The pre-release version, the borderless extended version, the foil etch showcase, the showcase. There's a lot of versions of it, but base copies are around $9. This is one where you might want to go ahead and grab it right now just in case it starts trending up. You will have a copy before we get to the next reprint, which will drive that price back down. Those are our picks for great pickups in the month of September 2022. Let us know what you think are good buys right now in the comments below. And while you're down in the comments, check out the TCG player links we've got down there for these cards. If you want to go pick them up, it'll help out the channel.
Yes, simply when you buy cards on TCG, it helps out the channel. We get a small kickback and it costs you absolutely nothing. If you want to check out the Patreon, that's a great way to support us as well. If you want to see more pickups in the future, definitely subscribe because there's going to be more videos like this. We have streams, we have a Discord, we have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Come support the channel. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Bye-bye.